Woo! All right, y'all. Have you ever heard yourself saying any of the following things? Who do you think you're talking to? Dakota Queen, who just had a birthday. Happy 42nd birthday, Queen. Who do you think I is? Okay, what's your favorite one from the Queen?
You must not know about me.
All right. People of other melanated hues say, "Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me." That's them. But also in our community, if you want to just take it up to the grandiose notch, there's probably no higher than this. You got me all the way fucked up. Okay. Or it's subsequent sister, F around and find out. Okay.
All go together.
It's a math equation of Black people saying you done stepped over the line. You done too much. Anyway, all of those are examples of asserting your worth verbally. Some would say aggressively, verbally, but
verbally, aggressively,
whatever. Some of y'all are not like that. Some of y'all are very quiet, and you
assert your
resilient strength, and you have
and grace,
dignity and grace and confidence. It's giving Sarita Jakes. That's what it's giving. That's who I think is a very confident, quiet, just knows her worth woman. And some of us don't know our worth even a little bit. We don't know what those words all mean together. We don't know how to find it, know it, or assert it. So we don't know. Anyway, whatever category you fall in, please stick around because this episode is, Lord, I'm struggling today, is for you.
Hi, I'm Pam Williams, a mother.
And I'm Jessica E. Williams, a daughter. And this is a mother and a daughter truthful chat, where we discuss our 35-year multi-layered relationship.
We've been through so many ups and downs. Not only are we family, but we're business partners in the high-stress world of event planning and production for short films.
We've also shared the same therapist for over 10 years. What some people call codependence, we call collaboration.
So join us as we share stories from our lives,
have candid conversations with other mother-daughter duos,
and shed light on the roller coaster ride of being a woman while raising a woman.
Welcome to Truthful Chats.
Happy September.
It is September, fam. Shout out to the Virgos.
Oh, wait. My cup has a heart on it.
I actually had a person on this. Cassie, if you're watching this, we're sorry. We don't know what happened.
I said I miss you when the little person came up. They used to have a little lady on the top.
She's like, oh, little Cassie. It's like, girl, it's not really her. Anyway, welcome to Truthful Chats. If you're just now joining us, these are conversations engaged to design us. Oh, wait. Designed to engage us in the ongoing practice of creating generational wellness. Sorry, I don't know what my brain just did. Word salad.
Word salad, for sure.
So if you're new to the platform, the show, all the things, here at Create Generational Wellness, we have a theme every month. And then we use the Truthful Chats to unpack that theme just a little bit. So, of course, it is September. Do you remember? What's the rest of the word?
21st.
21st. I was going to say 20th, and I was like, that's not right.
21st.
September 21st. Why does September 21st mean something?
I don't know why.
Black people love that song, and I actually don't know if we actually know what that song is about. We just like
if you do, tell us.
I just
because all my life I've wondered, really.
Well, anyway, shout out. They're still one of the greatest groups of all time. So it is. Anyway, it's a new month. It is September. And the word is no. Okay, that's our theme for the month. And today's episode,
maybe, but K-N-O-W is what we're really talking about right
because
now.
English is a stupid.
How do you know?
English is a stupid language. Okay, and today's episode is knowing your worth, embracing your value. Go ahead.
All right. So, happy September. Theme is no. And we're going to start off the month with knowing your worth. Quite frankly, we may camp here for a while because there is so much to talk about and to unpack in this title. So, if you don't know what we mean by unpack, our theme for last month, August, was unpack. So go back, listen to the August episodes, shameless plug there, check them out, but it will help you. We talked about unpacking self-doubt, unpacking your boundaries, unpacking baggage, all the things. So
all of the things.
You need to understand how to unpack something. So today we're going to start off talking about worth. And let's talk about what it means to know your worth. And what does the word worth really mean? We, hear people saying all the time, they better know my worth.
Know yourself, know your worth.
Shout out to Jay. But what does it mean? Worth can be defined as the inherent value and significance that an individual possesses. What is your value? What significance do you possess in yourself that you display to the world, that the world understands this is who
Don't
you
she sound
are?
like a hotel?
I am kind of. It could be a reflection of
that
your
you display to the world. Sister?
Yeah. It could be a reflection of your qualities, your values, your abilities, and contributions that make you unique and valuable. But it is way much more than that, and that's what we're going to be talking about in a minute. The importance in knowing your worth is that knowing your worth is a fundamental concept to personal growth, self-esteem, and overall happiness.
Big facts. So we're actually going to be talking about 3 types of self-worth, because I bet you know there was more than one. I don't think I did either. But there are 3.
We learn every time we...
It's called preparation.
Get ready.
So number 1 is the one we're all pretty much familiar with, right? Which is self-worth. So that is how you perceive yourself. Everyone has an individual level of perception about their own value, their importance in the world, where they see themselves, et cetera, et cetera.
How you see yourselves.
Right. So this could either be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on the person. Because on the good side, you're able to encompass a deep understanding and acceptance of yourself, hopefully, including your strengths, your weaknesses, your personal achievements. Hopefully that does not account to ego, which I would say is the downside.
Or cognitive dissonance.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Cognitive dissonance is a big word, but it's pretty much where like your perception and what happened in reality, the math ain't mathing all the way.
Like, so you think you this, and this, but you really are that, and that.
And we live in LA, so we see that.
Yes, all the time.
Because, you might have been the big fish in your very small pond, but when you get here, things the math might not be mathing. Anyway.
And when we say in your very small pond, whatever hometown you came from, not casting aspersions on.
Oh no, we don't. Shout out to
anybody, but if you came, from
the competition level is just different. We'll say that.
So you might have been the best where you were, but everybody that came to LA is now the best from where they were. So now you're in another melting pot, and it could be a little bit different. You could be thinking you're presenting this way, and you might be presenting another way.
All that to say, self-worth is very much rooted in self-esteem, and some of y'all have very, very high self-esteem.
As the Bible said, you might think more highly of yourself than you ought. Or the opposite. You should have higher thoughts.
But
you should have higher thoughts about yourself than you are, because you're doing all right. You're doing okay out here.
But as Janelle Monáe once said, we all trying to walk that tightrope, okay? So you can't get too high, you can't get too low, okay? I'll probably fall on the other side. I don't like to toot my own horn or do my own things. Explanatory things don't need to be explained, okay? Either you know or you know, or you don't know, and that's fine. But I'm not about to be out here beating my drum. Anyway, self-worth is built on self-esteem, which can be influenced by various factors, your upbringing, your experiences, all of your personal set beliefs. And so recognizing and embracing your self-worth is, as we said, very critical, very crucial to developing positive self-image and a strong foundation for your personal growth, which I feel like we talked about all this probably in like the change episodes or some of the previous episodes. I know we be sounding like broken records, but like Pam said on last week's episode, the steps to emotional wellness, health, and well-being are all pretty much the same. So a lot of this feels redundant and repetitive sometimes, but
you don't have to do the work.
But it's also cool to be like, oh, the steps are kind of more or less the same. Now you might need to apply it to your particular situation. but the more let's say.
Once you learn how to do them, now you can just repeat for whatever you need to focus and work on next. So it's like doing reps. Get the reps in, and then you'll be able to move forward in your journey.
And of course, like there's nothing wrong with having high self-esteem, because you should. We all want to feel good about ourselves in one space or the other. So there's nothing wrong with that. But when you are concentrating on doing activities to boost your self-esteem that may feel good but may or may not be the best things for you, that's when you kind of gotta pump the brakes just a little bit, because that can lead you to some slippery slopes and some places you don't want to be in, and it will not make you happy in the long run, and it starts to put your self-worth based on external factors. This is for sure a thing in LA, for sure. You know,
and it's problematic wherever you are, whether you live in LA or not.
But it takes on another level when it's $1 billion neighborhoods and fancy cars and whatever. Like, this is the land, and I guess it is true in all America. This particular part of the world is really feast or famine. You know what I'm saying? And your lot could change. You could have been famining and now you feasted, and then you was feasting and then you was famining. So
roller coaster ride.
If your self-worth is based on external factors, problematic.
Yep, for sure. So based on a study that we looked at and read about a little bit by some self-esteem psychologists, Crocker and Wolf, if your self-worth is contingent upon being successful at work, you might be that person that takes on extra projects, does stuff that you don't need to do because your self-esteem is tied to somebody saying you did a good job.
You did a great job.
Or work. Oh my God, that's so amazing. I don't know how you did
Corporate
that.
America junkies. They be doing that.
Right? Or maybe it's related to body image. We were just talking about that before we got on.
She said I have face body dysmorphia. And I
didn't say face body. I just said face
dysmorphia. And I said, girl,
she always thinks her face looks really bad. Or her skin looks bad. Or her something is wrong. So, and half the time it's not true. Not more than half the time it's not
in
true.
Your eyes, but that's my perception of myself.
And there are a lot of people like that. They think they got to weigh 130 pounds or if they can't fit into a size 2 or 4 or whatever, then something is wrong. So they might not feel that they're worthy, again, especially in LA. I don't have that problem, right? Or on the other side, you're right. For us,
that's that thick.
You gotta have that thick. You gotta, but don't gotta be popping and this and that and whatever. So whatever it is that you think in your mind makes your self-worth more in terms of your image, it can kind of make you do some crazy stuff sometimes.
But it's all perception though.
Yeah, and it's all perception. And again, in this particular instance we're talking about, is all tied to your to external circumstances. They actually have a clinical term for that. It's called external contingencies. And so anything that determines your worth is based on what others see about you, what you do, your occupation, where you went, how you look, what shoes did you have on, what fit did you have. All of that sometimes affects people's self-worth. And if it's tied to outside factors, then you lose control over how you're living your life, because you're not living your life for what you want, because you don't really know what you want. You just want what everybody else is doing right now and what it looks like for everybody else. And so you feel like if you have that, then somehow your self-worth can increase. And so instead of striving to kind of meet your own goals and the things that you want to do in your life, you're striving not to fail. You're striving not to look bad in front of other people. You're striving to look like you're keeping up. You're striving to look like I got it all together, when that's not the case. And then when you fail, if you do fail, then you lose your ambition, you lose your motivation. You start talking about, I'm a loser, I can never do this right, blah, blah, blah. And so then you take yourself down this spiral, and those situations can cause you to lose control of your self-worth.
Big facts.
Mm-hmm.
I know some of those words, but whatever. We're not 100% talking about me. Anyway, next
it's a truthful
up,
chat. We're talking a truthful chat. All right, keep
next
going.
up, number 2 is societal worth, which
they kind of overlap a little bit.
Taps back into what we're talking about. And I actually learned this term that was pretty cool. Shout out to the Morning Meetup fam. But I learned about mimetic desires, which I thought was interesting. And it's pretty much this idea of your desires mimetic, right? Your desires sometimes mimic those of the people around you, even if it's not really what you really want. It's just
you just feel like you have to.
You feel like you have to have it because you're mimicking the desires of other people instead of being like, do I really want that, or do I really want to deal with that, or do I really like that?
A lot of trouble one time,
or whatever. So anyway, I threw out mimetic desires because I feel like that probably prompts a lot of societal worth issues.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about the value that's assigned to individuals in society based on external things, which we know: occupation, education, wealth, physical appearance, all the things we were kind of just talking about, right? So it's all based on things that are completely outside of your person or based on what you're individually given. Now, this is the hierarchy or the value scale that we place on your skin color or your hair and eye color or your bank account, or are you a high value man or woman? You know what I mean? Your clothes, the car you drive, blah, 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 blah. It's all status and things outside. So
I think you were telling me some story about somebody that wanted a G-Wagon and they didn't.
It was B. Simone. B. Simone wanted a G-Wagon and she was like, I didn't even really like the car like that, but everybody in Atlanta had G-Wagons at the time. So I thought like I needed to get one. But once she really self-reflected and she realized like, I don't even want that car. I just want that car because everybody else want that car. And she was like, and I went and got me a cheaper car that I like more and I saved money. And so I feel good.
And it happens all the time. Purses, shoes, earrings, whatever it is, whatever your thing is, that somehow you attach that external thing to making you feel good about yourself, right?
It's true. And this gets people in trouble, of course, because does society ever pick the same thing to focus on from day to day?
Changes week to week,
it's
month to
like
month.
A dog would throw it 5 different balls at the dog all the time. Car, this is shiny, that's shiny, this. It don't ever stay the same, okay? So this caused you to be on a constant rat race to try to keep up with the Joneses, as it were. Keep up with whatever the trends are, or the things, to spend a bunch of money and do a bunch of stuff that like you might not even care that much. And that can influence your self-perception and your self-worth, even though it has nothing to do with you as an individual. It's just some external criteria that you're meeting. And people usually tend to get Usher Raymond caught up with this. Because it's easy. It's just easy to do it because.
And I think it's easier and harder. It's easier to see, but harder to maintain now because
it's definitely
social media. Because if somebody spent $5,000 on their sweet 16, their daughter's sweet 16 party, you used to not know about it. You know what I mean?
Sweet 16.
Unless till they had that show. But then after that, then it got on social media. Now everybody feels like they have to outdo everybody for the party, for the prom parties, for the this, for the that, for the everything. You just got to keep stepping it up,
leveling it up in all the wrong ways.
Making yourself crazy.
So yeah, it's hard to measure your self-worth by those things. And then these are the things that usually happen. Number 1, is exhausted.
You be tired.
That's a lot of energy to expel on what other people are doing. 2, you can wind up doing things again that don't really align with your inner personal values, your purpose, whatever the case may be.
Your pocketbook.
Mimetic desires or your pocketbook. Mimetic desires. 3, you could damage your self-image about your authentic self-worth and your genuine self-worth, right? So you start to feel some type of way because you're not measuring up in those particular ways.
So listen, we had that happen this week.
Listen, we tried very hard.
We tried to go to see the Queen for her birthday.
We tried to go see the Queen for her birthday.
But if I tell you,
them tickets, the price gouging and inflation were criminal. Up until 10 minutes before the concert, somebody was selling nosebleed seats for $50,000 each.
I think it was a suite, but you don't think it was.
It was not a suite. It was in the 500 section of the SoFi Stadium, which is very high up. No disrespect to anybody who was sitting there. Shout out to y'all. But you $50,000.
But somebody bought them.
No, they did not buy
those. They didn't buy those?
No, they bought the wheelchair tickets that was $750 each, which we was looking at. But even the $750 was doing too much.
It was too much.
It was insane. People was like $600 for tickets to $2,000. You look at $5,000. Like, I'm like, okay, well.
But did it affect your self-worth? Did you somehow feel like you weren't a good person, or
I don't know that I wasn't a good person. I wanted to be there. Listen, here's the thing about the Renaissance tour for me. It was babies going to the Renaissance tours that ain't old enough,
like 7 to love Beyonce,
and they ain't been following Beyonce like I've been following Beyonce. Do you understand me? So I think it is a thing of I don't consider him a mimetic desire because I am a Beyonce fan. I'm not a part of the Beehive. Okay, shout out to y'all. I don't want no problems, but I consider myself a student of the Queen. And so the theater nerd in me wanted to be in the space to watch everything in real time. You can't get that from clips and things of that nature.
Which is true, because you always see things in a concert that I was not
It's
paying
just
attention.
the thing of me. And it's the Queen's birthday. You know, it's exciting. And yes, it's going to be on Netflix and things are going to be great or whatever. But it was just, social media was crazy, okay, in California. People was like, it was like a storm. It was swarm. It was a swarm of Beyonce in this for 3 days. And there were 2 other shows, but I couldn't go to those because I had to work. So we got all dressed up.
But again,
we exercised our faith and we thought it was going to happen. We had smooth sailing all the way there. We had a place to rest until it was time. And then we made it up to the gates and didn't make it. So.
Oh, man. However,
it was rough.
We made lemonade out of lemons.
We made lemons.
Because we went to
a sushi restaurant and we watched it. Shout out to Icon Tips. Thank you, Icon Tips. You had us for Coachella weekend too. You be at all the shows. You be putting us on. At Icon Tips is that dope.
We watched the whole show pretty much on Instagram while we ate sushi. So
yeah,
I don't feel bad. It didn't affect my self-worth.
I just think it was the getting dressed up part. It was really, I really exercised a lot of faith. So I was dressed for the Queen's birthday. That's great. I could say that. But it was just, when you try to get to the finish line and you don't make it, it's a little like,
But again, the point is, do you feel less?
Oh, I don't think I feel less.
You are
no, I don't feel.
Because
I don't
you didn't
feel.
get to go.
No, I don't feel like less of a person. I don't think that's the thing. I don't feel less of a person. It's just like, dang, that would have been cool. But no, I don't feel less of a person.
Okay, so that's what we mean by societal worth. Societal worth can make you feel less of a person.
But I'm gonna tell you what I feel less of a person.
Beyonce.
No, what I'm gonna tell you what I'm
gonna
tell you what I feel less of a person about. The level of greed that's out here. That is disconcerting and erroneous as it's crazy. I don't even know if erroneous is the right word. I just use it. As a human being, to know that other human beings is out here doing that kind of level of chicanery and foolishness is highway robbery.
And Beyonce didn't get none of that extra money.
Exactly. So it's just you and the homies being greedy as hell. I think that affected my.
Some people might say they were making a wise investment. I don't know.
They were not making a wise investment because you know why didn't nobody buy your tickets, and you know why they didn't buy your tickets because they was too damn high. That's why. So no. Anyway, back to the subject at hand.
It didn't break our soul. It didn't break my soul.
External contingencies, okay,
right, can make you feel some type of way. Right. That's our point.
Because the things are constantly changing. And ultimately your self-worth should be stable, not unstable, right? So if you are basing it on things that are unstable, then you're gonna be feeling some type of way. And that dictates the way that you relate to other people, right? If you are, let's say, in a social situation and you feel like everybody there is worth more than you, and they could literally be worth more than you monetarily. They could be wearing things that cost more than what you got on.
They got on the latest Jordans. You got on the Jordans from 3 years ago.
Whatever. Maybe everybody's body snatched. You don't feel like your body is as snatched as you want it to be. Anything. Pick a feature. Okay. Then that might dictate how you react in that space or how you talk to people or treat people in that space. So anyway, dictating your self-worth on external things is not the best.
Not the most.
Shall we say? It's not the most profitable, fruitful thing that you can do, and it's gonna change. So, who has time to always be catching up with this thing, and then oh no, we on this thing, and then oh no, we on that thing, and then oh no, we on this, and oh no, we on that, and then it's okay. It's really not that serious.
So yeah, then the third type of self-worth is intrinsic worth. Intrinsic worth. Yes, that's right. So intrinsic worth is talking about the inherent value that you have just because you are a human being and you exist, right? And I think we see this sometimes. People want to look down on the homeless or the immigrants or whatever, but they're human beings.
What trash?
And they exist and they have a worth that we as other people in the country and those who are a little bit more in a better position at this particular time, because it could change. But if you wasn't full people, right, a couple years ago, but you deserve a certain amount of dignity and respect, and you should think a certain way about yourself because you're a human being and you exist on this earth. I like to call this your God worth. That's what I believe in, and I believe that you're created in the image of God, and that's enough. That's enough for you to have a certain degree of worth because you were created in his image and you're here. Now, that might not be your particular faith, your religion, or whatever, but it should somewhere in however you look at yourself, you should figure out that I am alive. I was put on this earth. I was born. I didn't have to be born. So the fact that I am here means that I have a purpose and there's something that I am here to do. And that makes me have a certain degree of worth, right? And so inherently, that doesn't have to do with external circumstances or if you did good at work or this, that, and the other, or if you went here, or if you got G-Wagon, or if you didn't, you just have a worth that is inherent in you because you are a human being. So if you can embrace that intrinsic worth, then you can detach your value from those external circumstances and find a sense of purpose and fulfillment from within, from just being you and whatever God tells you to do or whoever your higher power is. That's where the worth should come from.
And I think, it's the idea of you being is enough for everything you having to do all the time. But this is America. They don't believe in that. They want you to do all the time. So we're not saying, and even for me, that those things are like everybody's being programmed. Do you know what I mean? In a certain fashion. So, if you are a successful doer in American society, they're going to put you on and celebrate you for that. Because that's what the society is revolving around. Other cultures are really big on family and, time spent together and thought. Yeah, they just have different
higher
philosophical
ideas.
American capitalism, and I just want to throw that out there so you don't be like, I'm so bad. I'm like, you've been trained to be like this since you was like 5. Okay, all them commercials where they wanted you to buy Barbie dream house and Barbie cars and Hot Wheels and that was them molding your little consumer minds right there. So when you went to your friend's birthday party and they end up getting a toy that you wanted that you didn't get because your parents couldn't afford it right then or whatever the case may be, then you're gonna be feeling some type of way. Your self-worth was already affected then.
Remember that Toys R Us catalog? That doggone Toys R Us catalog used to come out like before Thanksgiving. You don't even remember. No, it would be like this thick.
Consumerism.
And kids would be pouring over it. Oh,
I do remember that.
And circling things. Highlighting what you want or whatever. And then you might get 3 of the 25 things that you highlighted.
And feel horrible.
And you'd be like, I didn't get, you know what I'm saying? So you're right. It is programmed from the beginning to
capitalism.
Make you feel bad if you don't have the things, right?
Capitalism. Anyway, it's important to know your worth, as we're saying, and the benefits of that are as follows. 1, increase self-esteem. Knowing your worth enhances your self-esteem, of course, and leads to a greater sense of confidence, self-assurance, and confidence and self-assurance will help you achieve your goals and dreams.
Your goals, not the goals.
The ones you actually care about.
The ones you care about.
Not the ones that pay your bills and you do it because
you have to or whatever, but
like the stuff you
what's
actually care about.
intrinsically on the inside of you that you are passionate or you care about. Yeah.
2, boundaries and self-respect. Recognizing your worth empowers you to set healthy boundaries in your relationships to avoid situations where you will be compromised in any way, shape, or form that affects your well-being. And it will allow you, as we demonstrated at the beginning of this episode, to assertively communicate your needs and stand up for yourself, which is just an important skill to have, period. I'm not saying it always has to be aggressive, but asserting yourself is a thing that is.
Y'all know y'all used to have
quite important.
Y'all, your parents used to tell you, like, I don't know if y'all had this, but I had it growing up, where my mom would be like, don't you come back in here another time telling me that somebody was trying to beat you up or we didn't call it bullying then. It was just like what they say to you and what did you say
Kids
back,
were just inherently cool
and mean, you know, like now. What you gonna do about it? I mean, there was always, I guess, I don't know about other people's families, but in most Black families, you were taught how to stand up for yourself
at some point.
Yeah.
Because you're definitely going to have to stand up for yourself in the world.
In America.
Next to whiteness. Number 3, personal growth. Understanding your worth opens the door to your personal growth and self-improvement, which you know we all about over here. That's why this whole channel and Truthful Chats and all the things exist. And encourage you to embrace your challenges, learn from your failures, and strive for continuous development. So I feel like we talked about this probably in Changes or Believe, one of the earlier months.
Mm-hmm.
But having a growth mindset and a personal growth mindset so that when things happen, you're not thinking it's the end of the world, as opposed to it's an opportunity to just learn and grow and develop further. But if you kind of just locked into one little mindset, that's going to be hard. 4, fulfilling relationships. When you know your worth, you attract and cultivate relationships that are like meaningful and built upon mutual respect and support and appreciation. And healthy relationships tend to thrive on mutual respect and recognition of each other's worth, encouragement, and personal growth. Because we've talked about this before. It's a lot of transactional relationship things happening. I don't just mean between men and women or women and women or men and men, however you do what you do, significant others. But, you know, a lot of things are it's capitalism. Everything is very transactional. What can I get for what I'm giving? Or what can I take when I didn't give nothing, but I just want to take it? Or what can I give and hopefully get something in return? Or I might get nothing in return for what I gave. And I ain't going to get hustled like that again. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of it is very transactional. As opposed to, you know, if you know your worth, hopefully you won't be in relationships where people are devaluing you, demeaning you, God forbid, putting hands on you, God forbid, calling you out your name on a consistent, regular basis, and you are allowing said treatment to happen. So, just throwing that out there.
You don't want to talk about that girl who would say that?
What girl?
That girl that was saying from her corporate negotiating experience.
Yes. My shout out to Bishop Brandon. He sent me this video of this girl who was talking about how she was like, ladies, this is how you get yourself out of a low budget experience, was the actual words that she used. And it was about really how she was Jedi mind tricking this man who wanted to take her to coffee or tea or whatever, which I was like, oh, that's a, you know, cool little first date to try to see if you feel like this person is worth your time and energy. And she was talking about, coffee or tea? No, I don't do coffee. She was like, first of all, I don't like coffee, which I was like, okay. And she was like, and I don't do tea, and my perfume costs too much. I said, what does that have to do with anything? And my perfume costs too much. So let me go ahead.
See, and that is not self-worth. That's her worth based on external circumstances of how much her perfume costs.
And it's transactional. My money is already more than your money, right? It's just, you just assume that this person was broke because they wanted to take you to coffee or tea. Not just that's probably a normal thing to do if you don't know who this person is and you're trying to do. Anyway, then she was like, then I use my corporate, my 7 years in the C-suite experience. So she wrote like a text message that I guess she had formulated in the C-suite style email to not necessarily stamp on this person's ego, which I thought was the great Jedi mind trick part of it. But she was like, it's restaurant week. And then sent like a list of suggestions and was like, well, you pick whatever you want. So he picked Italian and she was like, great, that's wonderful. Sounds like a plan, right? So she didn't tell him what to pick. She just gave him suggestions. Then he was talking about, yeah, so I don't remember if he offered to pick her up or if he was going to meet her there or whatever. And she was like, oh, me walking across cobblestone like to the restaurant sounds like work. It's giving labor. She was like, mm-mm. And so I guess she had Jedi mind trick that man to get her an Uber because she was like, I don't play. Y'all know how I do. Like, and I was like, why is this? Everything the man was suggested seemed very normal, but it wasn't enough for her because her perfume cost too much. So you see what I'm saying about transactional? You just made a full judgment call on this man's pockets. You want to control the dating experience. You feel like the level of restaurant or lack of restaurant that you're going to determines your self-worth. And, you know, does this person respect you as the I'm like, they talking to you. Obviously, they want to get to know you. This is just, it's very strange. Anyway.
But I think the thing that got to me about that in terms of this context was it was all just about her self-worth. There was no consideration given for his self-worth and what he might have been feeling or going through. No consideration of
my perfume costs too much.
No consideration of where he was or anything, or a conversation about that. Or so I don't know. I haven't been dating for a very long time, so I don't know what's going on out here in these streets. So y'all can school me if that doesn't make sense to y'all, that you should be somehow considerate of what somebody else might be doing.
And you know I'm not out here. All right, number 5, resilience and emotional well-being. Embracing your worth provides a solid foundation for emotional well-being and resilience. So again, like we talked about, navigating setbacks, criticism, adversity, so that you have a stronger sense of self and belief in your own abilities. Because knowing your worth and believing that you are worthy is, again, essential for peace, happiness, well-being, all the things that sometimes are very difficult to come by in this sick, crazy world we live in.
It's a little cuckoo. And, you know, there's practical strategies, and we're going to tell you them again because this is what you have to do if you want to.
It's the same.
If you want to move forward in your emotions.
If you want to be somebody and you want to go somewhere,
you better
wake up and pay attention.
Listen, you got to self-reflect. You have to. You have to say,
mimetic desires. Why do I care about
Why do I care about this? Why did I say I couldn't go to coffee because I have expensive perfume? Like, what is going on in your brain that those things all kind of go together, that I don't drink coffee with you out because of my perfume?
She just said she didn't like coffee. She didn't say she couldn't drink tea, but my perfume was more expensive
anyway,
than tea.
Somehow or another, all of that is...
She was asserting, in her mind, she was asserting her worthiness as a dating candidate.
Yes.
And trying to say that this dude was not on her level. So she had to educate him and upgrade him.
So you got to reflect a little bit.
Why?
Why you do what you do, why you say what you say, and take note of the qualities and attributes that make you unique and valuable. Not just perfume. What other things make you unique and valuable?
As you can see, we're very...
Besides your perfume. You know what I'm saying? So,
cool.
Anyhow. That's
God bless her in her dating journey.
Yes. Self-reflect. Start there. Number 2, set those boundaries.
Boundary setting.
You got to practice how to honor yourself.
Really, remember, the boundaries are really for you.
Yeah, they're not for the person.
So
maybe that's her boundary.
My boundaries are...
I don't go out to coffee. Maybe that's one of her boundaries. I don't know. I'm not going to get on that. But learn to know what yours are, okay? Learn to know what yours are. Say no to situations.
That's a non-negotiable. Is that a boundary?
I don't know. That undermine your worth.
I don't drink coffee or tea.
And prioritize activities that align with your goals and values. You just got to know. You say this all the time. Where's your bottom line? Where's your red flag drawer? Where's your place that this is not healthy for me?
Coffee and going to coffee and tea for a first date.
It's not healthy, maybe. I don't know. Embrace your strengths, the things you are good at, and You won't know what those are sometime without self-reflecting. Because I know for me,
We're trying stuff.
there are things that I think, well, everybody does that, or everybody knows that, or that's just common sense, or this, that, and the other, when it's really not. And so my therapist tells me all the time, you have a strength that you don't really realize is a strength. And so I'm trying to embrace my strength and get better about that. And so that I can move up in my level of self-worth. I feel like I'm pretty good, but I could be better. And then cultivate self-compassion for yourself. When things don't go 100% right, don't think of it as failure. Think of it as an opportunity. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some understanding. And embrace your imperfections. Learn from them. Learn from your mistakes. Treat yourself like you would treat your close friend. You wouldn't let your friend beat themselves up because they made a mistake, or, I don't know, your kid dropped the milk or whatever. I've seen some of y'all going up, I gotta clean this up, this milk costs this, that, and that. But try to right, cultivate some self-compassion for yourself so that you can in turn then cultivate compassion for other people. And we've all talked about, we are all have talked about this before, and we're going to always talk about it, because in some form or another, because it's how you get better. It's how you get well. It's how you move into that thing that we
gotta take baby steps.
Want you to be, which is well. Mind, body, soul, and spirit. Amen.
And then there's a couple more tips from the self-esteem experts, Crocker and Wolf. So prioritize learning over performance. This is what we talked about
when you make a mistake.
Before, when you are learning something new, you don't know it, thus you should have grace. We all know this, but I be the main person, like I should already know that, but I don't. So I beat myself up quite often about that. I don't know if it's the way I'm wired. I'm sure I have trauma and baggage.
Why you look at me when you say that?
To assert, because you was looking at me when I was confessing my little confession. Anyway, failures or lack of approval or whatever the thing may be, there's opportunities to improve. So don't beat yourself up about those things, and just move on from them, more quickly, so you don't have to deal with a whole bunch of difficult emotions if you don't have to. 2, adopt pro-social goals. Pro-social, so that means whatever your goals are, just don't make them about you. Hopefully that will help other people. I think I can't prove it, but I'm sure that goes with intrinsic values, because if you feel like part of your intrinsic value is to help others or give to others, then hopefully everything you're doing has some aspect of that. And it helps your self-esteem, because hopefully it's coming from a pure place. But it also allows you to not solely focus on yourself, but focus on how to serve others and the world around you, which is also a self-esteem booster. But don't do it in an ego way.
But again, there's always the good side and the bad side of every coin, because some of y'all do.
That sounds very accusatory.
Some of y'all, I'm including myself, some of us,
okay,
let me do that. Some of us will do things to feel better about ourselves by doing things for other people. And it's not your intrinsic value, again, it's just what you think you should do to make yourself feel good. Does that make sense? Where you're just overdoing.
So it's really
overcompensating.
People. It's about you trying to make yourself feel good by doing good things for
others. To make yourself feel good by doing good, not because you really want to do good or it's really helpful for.
But that's just a matter of examining again personal reflection and motives, because that's anything that you could use that is a temporary escape or a temporary high,
fix or a high,
whatever it is.
So you got to know yourself, though.
It's gonna feel good in the moment, or it's gonna be that thing in the moment. But you got to come down to your real life eventually. So 3, reduce.
Yeah. Do you take water bottles to the homeless in the summertime, and then got to take 25 pictures of you taking pictures of? You got to take 20 pictures of you giving water to the homeless, or do you just give the water to the homeless?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of stuff that you can kind of look at yourself and say, okay, what's my real motivation for doing this?
So number 3, reduce external contingencies, which I guess is kind of what we're talking about. Because all that's based on likes approval, appearance.
Followers.
And that's the worst thing for your self-esteem, actually. Instead of your internal contingencies, which are your personal virtues and your values and your beliefs. And those things are usually a little bit less harmful. And I think they're less harmful because they actually are things you can control. Like they actually are things that you can dictate and have something to do with, rather than everything else that's happening around you. You feel like I just don't have any control over that, or I am trying my best to become somebody else or do something to get those things, and they keep escaping me, right? So it's a whole thing. 4, focus on your strengths. Ask yourself the following questions: what makes you special or unique? What do you do that no one else does? And what are your positive qualities? And I think the more you reflect on that, the more that helps with self-worth. If you're anything like me, sometimes I'd be really sitting there like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? What are my positive qualities, or what makes me special or unique? Other people can see it very clear. They'd be like, Jess, you this, you that, or this, that. And I'm like, okay, then I guess. So, you know, some of us are still working on being able to see that for ourselves. But honestly, I feel like hopefully that's what keeps me humble. I don't feel like I'm supposed to see all the things about myself. Who want to be getting high on their own supply? That's annoying. Don't nobody want to be around them kind of people. Like, isn't it better if I just don't see it, but I am it, and you know, you still want to hang around me at the end of the day? That's better if I see it. That's how I think about it. But
it's an interesting perspective.
That's probably not good for my self-esteem. I'm sure my therapist talks to me about it often, but I'm gonna be who I am. So that's how I think about it.
Listen, none of this work that we talk about is easy. It's not easy. It's not easy for us, as you can see. Like, there's a lot of it that we are still dealing with for ourselves. But if you get to the point where you're not afraid to look at it, not afraid to talk about it, and particularly in this instance, look at what external things are you using to develop your self-worth. Like, and be honest with yourself, you know, be honest and say, you know what? I do feel like if I don't have the latest J's, I'm not that person, or I'm not a good person. If my nails and if I don't have, you know, this every week, a pedicure and a manicure every week. If I don't
have seafood every weekend, which somebody told me recently that some of y'all be going on a date thinking you're going to get the seafood every weekend. Ma'am.
And that's not saying those things are bad.
But nobody's expectation of that.
Expectation, and again, the
entitlement of that too.
And the feeling that somehow you are less than
if you're not eating sushi every week. I mean, seafood every week.
Lobster towers for hours and hours.
Mooney Long. Go date Mooney Long. Anyway, I'm just saying all that to say, because the person that I was talking to, I was like, I want you to know, A, that's economically irresponsible for you. And that people shouldn't be putting you in that position. Because then I'm like, is that not affecting your self-worth? To feel like if I can't provide this type of low budget experience, or a higher experience, then that makes me less of a person, or less dateable, or less like, you be thinking about it from your perspective. What about the other person? If somebody said that to some of y'all would be hella mad. If you was paying for the day, and he was like, let's go have coffee and tea, just because you want to vet this dude, okay? And he was like, nah, the car I drive costs more than that coffee and tea, so I can't be there. You'll be like, he's so rude. Like, it would just put yourself in the other person's shoes. Let me just go ahead and say, put yourself in the other person's shoes sometimes before you be saying and doing the things.
Yeah.
Anyway, keep going.
All right.
I just had to point that out.
So, yes, I think that was a very good point, by the way. So, take a look at it.
That's what it is.
Look at it for yourself. Do some self-reflection, some self-analysis, and try to think about the person you are, the person you want to be. Not what all the trappings of that look like, but if you stripped away everything, who are you as a person? There's scripture I like that says, I learned to abase and abound. And that means I'm good whether I'm
tightrope. You can't get too high,
whether I'm
and
low.
you can't get
the
too
person low. That I am on the inside is still the same, because I'm not affected by these external values.
Whether I'm high or low, I'm gonna tip on the
tightrope, right?
Tip on it.
It's a simple definition.
She's floating now too, by
Simple definition of personhood. Think about your personhood, your consciousness. What are you conscious of about your own ideas, your own feelings, your own emotions? What do you think about that? And then, two, how do you make your decisions? How do you make decisions and how do you develop the capacity to solve problems, to move into different phases of your life whenever you need to? That's what makes up your personhood. And if you get that solid, then your self-worth is going to be solid. So,
and I think maybe because I watched a Lauryn Hill interview today, so I feel compelled. But self-worth is also hard when coupled with people pleasing. Like if you're used to making decisions or doing things based on how you think, what other people think is going to be the best thing for you to do, right? Because I think that's a little bit of the self-worth mind trick a little bit, is that you have your perception of how you see yourself, but people also have their perception of how you see you. So if you make a decision that you feel like that person or said people groups or whatever is not going to rock with, that might change their self-image of you or their esteem of you or their worth, and then that is going to change how you feel about you too. So I think it's also managing, again, your relationship to self, but also your relationship to other people and how they perceive you, because a lot of times you don't know your self-worth because you've been so busy doing and being what you feel like other people want you to do and be, that you have no idea who you are because you've never even stopped to ask or think about it or take the time to reflect on it, because you just on that treadmill of we do this, we do that, we do this, we do that, this family, that we do this, we do that. Like you have that whole identity. And so if you break that apart, then you may discover some new things about yourself that you
like, right?
Yeah. So when you understand the different dimensions of your worth and embrace your values, you start to empower yourself. First and foremost, the work always starts with you. And then empower others to do the same. So it's the ripple effect that Grandmother Willow once said. The ripple effect of self-acceptance and appreciation that hopefully affects generational wellness. It's not just for you, but it'll affect you, boo thing, and your kids and your coworkers and this, that,
all the people.
The ripples.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. I think that's it.
I think we're
gonna rock with us for the rest of the month. No is the word, so I think we're gonna continue to try and delve deeper and deeper into that. Was weird. Don't do that with your hands.
Well, we're going to get more intricate into the conversation.
That was weird. Anyway, come back for the rest of the month. Hopefully,
she is on one today.
Just I'll tell you why it's bad offline because I can't really explain it online. Anyway, hopefully we're gonna go deeper each week. Remember, you are worthy. No matter what you think about yourself, what other people think about you, what the society is saying, what the things are. Your intrinsic value and worth is there because you're a living, breathing human being, and your worth knows no bounds and no limits, baby. No limit, as Usher Raymond said, and Percy Miller and such. No limit. Anywho, you should be able to be with us next week, but you won't be if you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel. Follow us on IG, liking us on the Facebook and the fan base and all the other places. I'm still very much catching up there. I'm not gonna judge me. But just follow us so you can be in the know, so you can know what's going on, so you can share your little thoughts, your little ideas, your little comments.
Because we want to know.
Are we even talking about things that you find important, or should we?
And is it helpful?
Pivot. We're not going to pivot too much, but anyway, if there's any, I don't know, mother-daughter duos you want us to interview, you're not really nobody.
January.
Yeah, it was like probably January. We ain't really nobody, but we will send a letter to somebody and ask and be like, oh, we think y'all should talk to so-and-so, so-and-so. I feel like people are always interested in doing things with their kids.
Listen, we know a lot of mother and daughter people that are brilliant and have really important things to say. We're going to start bringing them to you little by little.
Little by little. And again, y'all might be like, oh my God, y'all should talk to said celebrity person. We'll try. Anyway, y'all have a lovely night. We'll see you next week. And
We bid you adieu.
We bid you adieu. And make sure these people don't break your soul. Amen. Amen.